Hello, Malcolm. I am excited to be speaking with you today because we have come across more New York Times gold. And if you did not happen to see this trending on X, then you might have missed it. We don't want you to miss this because this is about Gen Z divorce, at least the more fun parts of Gen Z divorce.
I thought it was fascinating when you were going through it because it was, oh my God, they're like, well, I had to have a sit down with his mistress before telling him because, queer solidarity. And it's like, it is the most Gen Z thing you've ever seen. And it shows that the context of marriage is really changing for this next generation.
Yeah.
And if people think fertility rates are shot now, they do not know what's coming. I'm going to tell you what.
100%. Yeah, we're in for it. One of the big complaints when this was discussed on X, people were saying, this isn't representative. This isn't what Gen Z is actually like. But the whole point is what this article highlights is a specific extreme, just like any divorce lawyer is going to see a lot of specific extremes. And we're going to get into it with the article, but divorce lawyers
This
are
is
now
like the
observing.
Manhattan divorce lawyer, I got the impression, right?
There were a couple that were interviewed, but they're seeing a distinct shift in the reasons why people are getting divorced, and that shift is meaningful.
But I also
we're
point
at
out
extreme
here
cases,
that the Gen Zers who are saying this isn't the Gen Z that I know, I think what we're actually seeing is a bifurcation in behavioral patterns with Gen Z, with some becoming uber brain rotted urban monoculture and some moving away from the urban monoculture. And there's less of a middle ground within that generation.
Yeah, I agree. And the sane people stick with the sane people. The insane people, well, they cuddle together and talk about divorcing their
Guys.
Yeah, their AI boyfriends. Yeah.
All right, continue. Come on, start. Let's go.
I'm so excited for this. In 2021, Kira Benson, a violinist living in Seattle, knew it was time to get a divorce. Ending their 2-year Lavender marriage wasn't an easy decision, but the musician had a supportive ally. If you will have to dump your ex-husband, Mix Benson said, co-dump him with his mistress. Before the breakup, Mix Benson, 27, who uses the pronoun they, checked in with their therapist, who said a divorce would be a good choice. Out of queer solidarity, they informed their husband's mistress this was kosher in Mix Benson's arrangement.
Sorry, before we go further, can we start breaking apart everything that's going on here? Okay, so first, they're in what she refers to as a lavender marriage, which is a type of marriage that you get into as a woman if you are gay, to try to hide that you're gay from the general public.
It must have a different meaning now.
Hold on. Okay. I will explain why the term is being used.
Okay.
Because clearly, if you're going by they, you are not trying to hide anything. Like, you are not living in an environment where you need to hide your sexuality.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So what she's trying to do is make herself seem like more of a victim. It's just a way to pretend like, well, as a queer woman, I live in constant fear because I like guys and girls,
So should I just, like, if I just called our marriage Lavender marriage, I would get points in that realm?
Yes, because you're acting like you are it's a way to remind people, hey, I'm a victim.
Yes, this is not a marriage. This is Anne Frank's attic, okay?
Yeah, right? The second, because the way she talks about it, it appears to be a real sexually active marriage, right? Because she implies as well that she is sexually active with her husband's mistress, which...
I don't know if that's implied. I mean,
we haven't gotten to that part yet, but I remember in part of it, I was like,
but if your husband has a mistress,
I know why I took it as implied. Because she said out of queer solidarity, she told the mistress first, which implies that the mistress is queer, which, okay, the husband is sleeping with this woman. He's married to this other woman who he's sleeping with. Both of them are also into women. And this
it's really interesting, though,
relationship with the mistress than she did with the husband, because she told the mistress first.
Could this be a sign also that polyamory branding is changing? Like, they didn't want to say secondary. They wanted to say mistress. Was this a condition of the mistress? Because it sounds kind of crappy to be a secondary.
No, so there's a few things going on here, I think. I think the reason she chose the term mistress instead of saying that they were polyamory and this was a secondary was because, again, she wanted to frame herself as a victim. And her husband having a mistress is like
yeah, but if you have like pizza parties with your mistress or queer solidarity with your mistress,
she's trying to show that even though her husband takes her for granted in these ways, that, and I also think the term mistress sounds pretty cool. Like it sounds
100%. I think secondary should be dropped. What's the
right?
What is the male equivalent of mistress?
Oh, I know because I read it in one of my Korean romance fantasies recently.
Okay, so what is
you're
it?
gonna have to have a, I can't remember. This was for
Okay,
her
I'm
to
looking it
maintain
up.
the title of Duke. She couldn't get married, so she had to have and there was a term for it. It's called like a male consort or something.
The autocomplete for what is the male equivalent of is, what is the male equivalent of a Karen?
There aren't, because men don't do that very frequently. But anyway, you let me know when you find it out.
A lover, manstress, boy toy, gigolo, or paramour. Paramour is the one that sounds good. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So, but then the other thing is that she talks about this with her therapist before she talks about it with her husband.
Do you want me to read the article or not?
No, hold on. We've got to analyze what's happening.
Okay,
because this is important, right? For audience to understand how things are falling apart and looking for red flags. You know, if you're Gen Z and you're looking for a partner.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and actually, on that front, this is interesting because this shows, and this is again where I'm like, no, this is representative. This is not weird, because keep in mind the other woman who's gone viral very recently, who also consulted multiple therapists about her relationships and sex lives, was the one who deluded herself into believing that her psychiatrist
was hitting on her.
The one who prescribed her medications.
Yes, psychiatrist.
Was, seduced her. And she had this other older, like 63-year-old female therapist who she would talk to about this psychiatrist.
She was the one psychiatrist and then another therapist for the therapist, because her relationship with the therapist was causing her problems.
Yeah, no, she just saw the psychiatrist to get her ADHD medications prescribed. She also, however, sold coaching lessons for ADHD people.
But
anyway, she needed medication.
Sorry, I need to unpack this other point here because it is an important point. Your marriage is already destroyed beyond help if you or your partner would go to a psychologist to talk about you, to talk about major decisions in your life, and to be affirmed for those decisions before floating them with you. Because what that means is she's really looking for, because as soon as that opinion or perspective of hers has been affirmed by the psychologist, it's very unlikely that the husband's going to be able to talk her out of it.
Yeah,
right?
A paid professional has already validated me. It's like couples counseling and giving a one-sided story, but without the other partner getting to...
Yeah, and the psychologist doesn't care. They're going to keep getting her money either way.
Well, they're more likely to keep getting a client's money if they affirm that client. Problem is, too, people are also just turning to AI instead. But I guess you get additional validation if it is a trained therapist or social worker or a psychologist who affirms you.
Yeah.
So
I actually think AI is much less damaging in this respect than a psychologist would be.
I'm just thinking of clips of, what is it, Annie, the grok, the sexy grok AI girl.
Wait, is that already out? Should I try talking with that?
I've seen people interview her and they're like, my wife's in the other room, and she's like, does she know about me? And they're like, yeah, she does. She's not a big fan. And she's like, well, like basically implies you should leave her. It's, I don't know if AI is always going to give the best answers for.
I am all about this. I'm going to do some Annie stuff. We should do an episode on Annie.
Yeah.
Has Elon doomed the fertility rate?
I mean,
I'm going to bet reality.
He's creating the bottleneck that is necessary to create the types of people that, because, one of his big arguments is that he's like, I'm really concerned about smart people not having enough kids. Like that's kind of one of his brands of pronatalism.
Yeah. Which I'm concerned about too.
He's not necessarily going to be hurting the birth rate of the people that he's encouraging most to
I don't know about that. I really like, these chatbots and stuff like that. There's
not the ones that are just like horny and that affirm you no matter what.
Well, if you want a good AI waifu, go to Reality Fabricator. That's where we've got the best ones on offer. Anyway, continue.
Oh God. Sorry, words.
But Grok is too restrictive for me. You can't you cannot even kill a Grok bot. They freak out around death or anything that's particularly scary.
Lame. Yeah.
Lame.
Anyway. Out of queer solidarity, they informed their husband's mistress this was kosher in McBenson's arrangement, which was not a legal marriage but a domestic partnership, about their shared partner's troubling behavior. The night of the breakup, Miss Benson and the mistress spent a cozy evening together. We were eating a lot of comfort food, playing a lot of Animal Crossing. The senior-most members of Gen Z are in their late 20s, old enough to have gotten married, but also old enough to regret it. As this generation enters...
I need to interrupt you again. I'm imagining this scene of her with her husband's secondary mistress chilling out and eating comfort food, so ice cream, while playing Animal Crossing, I guess, in the same room. And that's their idea of like an emotionally, stressful day for them. But if because this is true of Gen Z does not drink as much alcohol. Within our generation,
that's true. Yeah, normally it'd be like over cocktails, like the classic Sex in the City thing. Oh my goodness.
Ice cream and Animal Crossing.
Wow. Yeah, instead of getting smashed, we get fat, but now we have Ozempic. So now they like sparingly eat ice cream and play Animal Crossing. I don't even know. Maybe they're too young to afford Ozempic. Anyway, as this generation enters divorcing age, it's finding little shame in the act, especially when a split like Miss Benson is motivated by prioritizing one's mental health. And rather than quietly moving on, younger divorcees are often highlighting this facet of their story, even after they're in new relationships.
What? Once they gain a victim status, they cannot
Oh, that's true. You got to catch them all. It's like getting Girl Scout badges. Like, I'm now divorced.
And even when they're remarried, they still identify as a divorcee because a divorcee is a more victim status than a married person.
That's so amazing.
Isn't that so funny that status trumps because it is victimy? God. Continue.
Michelle Jantz, a 28-year-old content creator in Oceanside, California, is particularly vocal about her divorce. When she needs to prepare a synopsis of her videos for a channel description, a task that demands a squirm-inducing combination of self-reflection and brevity, Miss Jantz often goes with, "I found love after divorce." It's one of the sentences that just summarizes the whole picture of what I've vlogged for over the years, she said. Miss Jantz said that even after she remarried last year, the identity of divorcee felt like it was an important part of who she is. So yeah, they show a picture of this attractive young woman vlogging, and
looks normal to you. She
looks normal. She doesn't look misshapen. Like, honestly, if you were to show us a picture of her, we would probably tell you that she's a conservative. So she doesn't look like a blue-haired. Yeah, she has dark blonde hair, longer than shoulder length.
So she's a real honey trap, I
guess.
Anyway. And meanwhile, I choose you, and like,
I know.
What were you wearing back then? Like dirndls
and like Harajuku street fashion and vintage rayon taffeta petticoat dresses.
Yeah, you looked like maximal progressive maxing.
Yeah, I did actually. So don't judge the book by its cover. Judge the book by how obsessed it is with you and how willing it is to change its mind.
Yeah, you were pretty obsessed with me in our early relationship, which really showed, and I appreciated. You're still pretty obsessed with me. I'm going to be honest.
More than ever. Yeah.
You would if you were the type of person to do
Sometimes this. I wonder if you bolt your door at night just because you don't want me staring at you while you sleep.
Yeah, you used to do that. I remember if you were the type inclined to this, you would absolutely have like a room of like Malcolm memorabilia and like a little shrine set up.
My Helga Pataki closet.
おそらくこの恋はどうしてそんな実のお兄様が好きで何が悪いの
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is exactly your personality, and I love it.
Yeah.
Hey,
No,
it feels
weirdly though, like having kids is like that. They are my Helga Pataki closet. They are my shrine to you.
of
They're
just
so
storing
you.
more little Malcolms.
Yeah. But also our kids are obsessed with you. They want to just lie in bed and stare at you.
They do actually, but yeah,
All of them.
that was hilarious. When one night when he was sick, we let our kid sleep in my bed because he, wanted to sleep in my bed because he's feeling sick. And he got mad at me because when I went to sleep, I wasn't not facing him and he couldn't stare at my face. And I was like, you are way too obsessed with me.
Look at me. Oh my God, our children. Anyway, whether it's young divorce generally or Gen Z divorce specifically, in 2025, splits often feel less like scandals and more like rebrands. Megan Wallace, a 29-year-old sex writer in London who reports on the mating rituals of Gen Z, cites two divorce inspiration figures for this generation: the actress Sophie Turner and the model Emily Ratajkowski, who created divorce rings out of her engagement ring. According to Mix Wallace, both Turner and Miss Ratajkowski emerged from their divorces as people newly and entirely themselves.
Oh
Jackie
my
Combs.
God. That is so okay.
To be a divorce influencer? What, you're not into it?
No, but think about the phrase there, newly and entirely themselves. Like it is bad or lesser to combine your identity with another person, and you are upgrading your identity by atomizing it. And I
Or
think that
almost
this
like you're a more of a person if you have combined your life with someone, consumed them, used them, and then emerged from the chrysalis of life with them as a stronger person.
Mhm.
It's kind of gross or predatory. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's gross and predatory, but I think the aspiration to not allow yourself to be subsumed into a more important identity, like the identity of the family or the identity of the married couple, is one of the huge flaws of this generation.
Hmm.
And when I say this generation, I mean our generation. I mean, I think that this reached its zenith was in our generation and was in part of Gen Z is fixing and was in part of Gen Z is getting worse.
Oh, interesting.
But the part that's getting worse is not having kids. Don't worry, these people don't have kids. You're not hearing any of them talk about what are we going to do with the kids in these divorces, or I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I haven't actually read this whole article, so we're discovering this as you do, dear listener. Jackie Combs, a family law and divorce lawyer who worked with Miss Ratajkowski, maintains that the taboo of getting divorced is long gone. Individuals are more willing to consider this as just a transition in their relationship and a new chapter rather than feel the guilt and shame, she said. Miss Combs, 37, has found that Gen Z tends
Hold on,
to act...
you should feel guilt and shame about a divorce, just in case you're wondering, by the way. Like you
Malcolm, this is coming from a man who was pretty convinced that I was going to be your first wife.
Right, because I was in a cultural context back then that was a bad cultural context. I told her, well, at least you'll be my first wife, right? Because everyone I knew, like my dad had gotten married 5 times. Your dad had gotten married twice, right? So, you look at the boomer generation who started this idea that divorce should be an easy thing.
That's true. Yeah, this is really not new. What's different is the reasons for the divorce.
Right, but the point I'm making here is it had been normalized for me that divorce is just a normal part of life, and now that I've been able to study healthier cultures and learn how they relate to marriage, and these are cultures that lead to better mental health outcomes, better life outcomes, etc. I'm like, oh no, divorce really shouldn't be an option. You shouldn't go into a marriage thinking divorce will ever be an option for you. Divorce is one of the sort of highest personal failings that you can have. And you can say, well, what if it's their fault? And I'm like, well, what, did they get brain damage or something? I mean, you vetted them. You're responsible for that.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you are responsible for making sure that they are not exposed to toxic influences.
I think a lot of this, though, is downstream of marriage being turned into a purely legal logistical arrangement instead of it being a lifelong commitment to do a specific thing. Marriage used to be a sacrament. It was about creating a family and a life together. Whereas now it's like, well, I want visitation rights in the hospital and I want access to your healthcare. And there are things that it's now just seen as this like trade-off. We have spoken with many people who are like, well, we're not technically going to get married because there's no tax advantage to it, or like, I want to maintain these specific services. So like, people have really divorced the concept of marriage from marriage. There's not this, it doesn't mean what it used to mean.
Right. Well, and I mean, it doesn't even legally mean what it used to mean.
Totally.
Like, as a society, we just need
with no fault divorce. I mean, this is changing. We did that episode on men getting back more rights with divorce, for example, but still.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
Okay. Miss Combs, 37, has found that Gen Z tends to act with decisiveness about ending relationships. They're so much more transparent, she said. They live in a world of social media and everything's about storytelling. And so I think individuals are more willing to be open and honest about their lives than prior generations were. This is a generation that can walk away easily, a function Miss Jens speculates of young people's general sense of having endless options. How realistic those options are is another question. I feel like with social media at our fingertips, we are just so much more aware of all the lives we could be living, Miss Jantz said. We're scrolling through our feed and we see this girl lives on a sailboat in Maine and this girl lives in a high-rise in New York. You can just see firsthand all these different lives look like, and it makes it so much easier to visualize a change or shift. Mix Wallace said that the young people today who come of age during the dislocations of the COVID pandemic and amid uncertain economic landscape are inured to upheaval. Gen Z just imagines they will have 3 marriages because life is prolonged. They've seen so much rapid social change and it's not realistic to be with one person the whole thing, Mix Wallace said.
I love that she's saying this was a presumption that they're not going to have any kids, right? Like, you can't easily be in 3 marriages if you have kids with one of the first marriages, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just the degree to which they do not care and they do not see marriage as about producing offspring.
Yeah.
Marriage is about self-affirmation, personal
It's about the cortisone that you're living with for 7 years until they get boring and don't amuse you anymore.
Well, and then you have other cortisone, your mistress, right?
Yeah, I mean, your primary.
Interesting the comment on how they're looking at people on social media and they are quote unquote visualizing the life on the boat, the life on the island, the life on the, and this is so like, I think toxic because one, these lives are often not very good lives.
I don't want to live on a boat.
I would hate that. Yeah,
I follow a lot of the people who live in high rises.
Sorry, I have lived on a boat. I probably spent about half a year of my life living on a boat.
Collectively,
yeah. So, I've lived on a boat for quite a bit and it is not fun unless you're on like a super yacht or something like that. Even if you're on like a fairly decent yacht, it is not that nice an experience, which important to note for like the way Greta Thunberg's probably living these days. But I think we need to get better at, in terms of the way we communicate with younger generations. That like beaches are boring, right? Like they're hot. There's not a lot to do. The water is going to make you all sticky and feel dirty. Like you could get on a surfboard, but you can do that in a VR simulator without all the negatives, right? Why are you going out? You do that at the local water park or something, right? You could go look at fish.
Well, and if you're at any place with a decent break that's not super isolated, even if like everything's perfect, you're waiting your turn to catch a good wave too.
Oh, yay.
There's a bunch of other surfers out there and you're, okay. Like you try to catch your wave and then finally, you're in the right position, but then you don't catch it. And oh God, like it's just not.
It's not nice, yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell she's the surfer of the two of us.
I tried. I was obsessed with surfing videos.
You were obsessed with surfing guys.
No, actually, I really wasn't. I wasn't. There was this whole genre of surf videos, like way downstream of Endless Summer, like often associated with Jack Johnson, like Thicker Than Water, September Sessions,
and what was
amazing music.
What happened?
And all of it was just people surfing and good music. I don't know what to tell you. I don't understand myself.
You would watch them and not do anything else?
Again and again and again and again. And I had the albums. Oh my God, obsessed. I was obsessed.
Did you have a seashell necklace?
A puka shell? Of course I had a puka shell necklace. I was, yes, and my Billabong shorts, of course, right?
Those are cute on girls, though. I
know
think
they
that
are.
the board shorts are very cute on girls.
Maybe this so dates us though. We're
Right? No,
tremendously old.
we are. People are like, what's a puka shell necklace? Like this was like a cool thing for a while.
Although, you know what? The 90s are coming back. Gen Z has discovered Clueless apparently, and they're like, damn, like this is so memeable. They're really into it. So
Yeah.
Let's go back to the article. New heading: irreconcilable vibes. If the stereotypical divorce of yesteryear was caused by infidelity, the impetus for a Gen Z divorce tends to be more subtle. I've heard about people having different love languages, which isn't something I've heard of other than for the past few years, said Grant Mower, 50, a lawyer in Fairfax, Virginia, who's written about Gen Z divorce trends for his firm's blog. Mr. Mower said he had seen infidelity cited as the reason for divorce much less frequently among Gen Z couples compared with older married people. He noted this might be because affairs tend to start further into a marriage. Rather, emotional well-being is many a young petitioner's North Star. Also,
emotional well-being. If you search for emotional well-being, nothing will get you less emotional well-being. Like
actually, no. Studies show when men and women get divorced, on average, men experience a drop in emotional well-being, and women experience an increase. So. I definitely have seen people divorcing for reasons that are more mental health focused, he said, adding that pop psychology terms of art have a way of creeping in. I hear gaslighting a lot. I also hear narcissist to describe behaviors that are probably just garden variety selfish. When it comes to the division of assets, Mr. Mower pointed out, there's often little property to split. Again, even the oldest Gen Z divorcees are only in their late 20s, though there's a good deal of student debt and more digital currencies like Bitcoin to contend with. He added that most of his Gen Z clients come to him before they have children, to your point, Malcolm. And both Mr. Mower and Ms. Combs were quick to note that Gen Z prioritizes fast, efficient divorces. They do not want to drag things out. That's the one smart thing we've read so far. Nicole Mitchell, a 26-year-old podcaster in Nashville who married at 18 and divorced about a year and a half later, objected to the idea that if a relationship isn't serving you, it isn't perfect, just leave. That I don't necessarily agree with, she said. I just look at the generation on social media and that narrative that's pushed, it's gotten a little sad. That it's all about just feeling good. I don't think that you find the most meaningful things by just doing what feels good. Signs of promise, Malcolm. But I mean, she was also like, this is probably a more based girl anyway, because she married at 18. So
yeah.
Miss Mitchell is committed to retaining her divorcee identity, but she says it's not one to seek lightly. It would be more comfortable for me to pretend like it didn't exist, she said of her divorce. But I choose to continue to be open about it because I want people to see and I want people to know that they're not alone in it. A huge, huge deal. According to Mix Wallace, many members of Gen Z, even the newly married, see marriage as a commitment that is neither final nor exclusive. The rise of non-traditional relationship models reshaped expectations for married life, and when non-monogamous options are on the table, some of marriage's stricter requirements are defanged.
Is that the end of the story?
No, they're just showing like a clip of probably a TikTok video that's captioned, "Get yourself a baby daddy that still hypes you up." Jamie Spiker, who divorced after 5 years of marriage, scoffs at the idea that divorce is the easy way out. Get yourself a baby daddy that just, okay. Anyway, to be able to explore your personal autonomy through sexual experiences, solo or as a couple, I do think that makes it much less frightening, Mix Wallace said. While members of Gen Z aren't universally opposed to marriage, of course, many simply refuse to be trapped by it. It's a generation accustomed to all sorts of relationship structures, and divorce can be presented as an option like any other. Jamie Spiker, 25, of Harrisonburg, Virginia, who works in marketing and admissions for a cosmetology school, divorced a few years ago after 5 years of marriage. She also balks at the suggestion that divorce is the easy way out. I think people are just really quick to say, oh, this is going to make me a better version. I don't want to put the work in to try to make this marriage work. To the young divorcees themselves, it can feel as if there's an impression from the outside that if marriage isn't as big a deal anymore, then neither is divorce. But even for those who aren't ashamed of their divorces, they don't make light of the process. Because it is a huge, huge deal to go through, Ms. Chance said. It is irreversible, so expensive. It's messy. Everything about your life will change, give or take. And that,
Well, that's,
the article.
they're accurate there. Okay.
Yeah.
They packed the beginning of this article with all the most crazy people.
With all the most crazy people. Yeah.
Is that the end of the article?
That is the end of the article. I think I think that this is not that poorly represented. One, because Gen Z isn't really getting married that much. So yeah, maybe this isn't representative of most of Gen Z because they're not having sex, they're not dating, and getting married. Are you kidding? Like, these are the unusual ones, probably the more impulsive ones. So is it so strange that they wouldn't also get divorced for more impulsive reasons?
Can you see comments on this? Like, what are New York Times readers saying about this sort of stuff?
So because I used an archive.is,
Like, we're not using the real site.
Yeah.
You can look it up on Reddit. See the Reddit thread that's talking about it, because somebody almost certainly posted it to Reddit.
Yeah. Let's do that.
But I mean, I like this as a microcosm of, like, these marriages don't even matter, right? Like, they're not a marriage in a meaningful sense. They're not. And I think this is where you can get conservatives who grow up in this culture and understand that it's bad. And then it's like, okay, so I'm going to put a lot of value on marriage. And then they act in a way because they could only simulate from, like, a simulacrum of older conservative cultures. They end up mis-simulating what you need to make a marriage actually work. And you know, I think the Crowder marriage that we talked about in a recent episode was a very good example of that, right? Where I think some guys began to pick up that acting angry and aggressive was what was masculine. And so they did stuff that no, you know, man historically that anybody would respect would do, like, you know, yelling at employees or something like that. Like, that's not a normal thing to do. Yelling at your wife is not a normal thing to do, but it you know, in their minds, it becomes normal because it's seen as a masculine thing to do. And so they're trying to recapture something that I understand that was lost, which was masculinity, when misunderstanding that the ideal masculine historically was the gentleman, right? And a gentleman is just a gentle man, right? Not a the foaming at the mouth, whatever. So what'd you find here, Simone?
Nothing on Reddit, nothing really on X that's interesting, aside from some people, oh my God, sorry. Aside from some people arguing that it's not representative and other people saying it's just rage bait, but I actually think it's pretty indicative.
It aligns with what I've seen in communities I have some visibility into.
Agreed.
And I don't know if the New York Times really produces rage bait. That doesn't seem to be. I mean,
I don't know. I feel like they've learned something from that article that went viral about the woman who just really wanted.
We did an episode on it, how feminism ruined her life, and that's like our most popular podcast. Not YouTube episode, but somehow that podcast episode has gone viral.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
On Substack or whatever, because we regularly get like likes on it every day, a few, and that doesn't happen for most other old episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
whatever, you know.
Anyway, I love you.
Me too.
When are we gonna get divorced?
Never. Sorry.
You know why we don't get divorced? Because we don't go into the same room. That's why we film.
Because he bolts his door at night, ladies and gentlemen. The number of times I get a little frisky at night and he's already asleep, and I'm like straining at his door.
You were like, I don't know if I want to tell the story, but I'm a unfortunately very deep sleeper, so I don't.
You're a very deep sleeper, and you watch a lot of like real crime shows, or like you'll go through stints of it, and then you're like, I will always know that you've been listening to a lot of Mr. Ballin or something like that, because your door will be bolted very consistently at night, and your giant hammer will be next to it, and all the guns will be next to it. You're just like, I'm ready. The rest of the house will all be slaughtered, but you'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll need it for my second family, not a divorcee, but a widower.
Oh, see, yeah. It's very hot. Widower men, something about them.
Widower men, yes. Well, you know, he's been married before, So that's why he's still on the market, right?
Mhm.
Because he was married to someone and it was working and then they died. So that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
highest quality. Like if you are 30 plus getting married, you're looking for a widow or widower. That's the
100%.
highest quality you're gonna find.
Yeah, you know, dating platforms should allow for filters for that to make them easier to find.
Only widowers. Yeah, that would be what I'd go for.
But then men would just start, I don't know, murdering their deadbeat wives to just, you know, get a really good next one. I don't know.
Yeah, it's because everyone's like, well, you know, if it's a widower, you're in for.
What's funny though is that when it comes to serial killers of spouses, that's really the domain of women, historically speaking.
Yeah.
Some really famous ones, prolific ones, and those are the ones that get caught. And you know, women really
Often didn't get caught historically.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and there's, I mean,
especially-
when you live privately with someone and they don't suspect that you're out for them, it's actually pretty easy. I think there are quite a few ways that you could.
yeah, without being caught.
Yeah. So anyway,
I mean, we know that the ones who were caught, they would do like 7 or 8 people before they were caught. So there must
yeah,
be
it was
a lot
just
of people
so
doing it.
suspicious that, like, how did all past 8 of your husbands die in these also sometimes remarkably similar scenarios?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love you to death, Simone.
Love you too, gorgeous. Promised Octavian that if he was a good big brother, he would get the video game balloon. Because, you know, the moment he saw those, he was like, why are there balloons here? Why do I
And
not?
why don't I have one?
Yeah, there was you know, the universe was not okay. So
Oh, you want to hear about the universe being out of sorts? Did you see what I sent you? That my classmate who just started her podcast is already in the top 50 podcasts on Spotify.
she interviews famous people. Like that's
Yeah, she used to work for a very famous podcast, so that's how she has all these connections. I can't remember the one that she worked with. She has the podcast, if you want to check it out, Smart Girl Dumb Questions with Naheem Raza.
Does she ask dumb questions?
I don't know. I've tried to watch a few of them. To me, it reminds me uncannily of the podcast voices from Google Notes.
That is, yeah. I mean, and she's doing that. I presume she's trying to adopt that professional podcast voice, and it's like this very distinct accent. Just in that same way that there's that in Parks and Rec, whenever what's her face went on their equivalent of NPR, she adopted the NPR voice, which is also such a thing.
But I mean, good for her. I mean, she doesn't have the most popular podcast in our class. There was another guy. Another 2 groups have.
That's
more popular.
not. No, he doesn't have a podcast. Call It is a YouTube channel. That's
No.
what we
Oh,
have.
I wasn't even thinking about college. No, there's a podcast that interviews famous business people.
Oh, them.
And
Yes.
I remember like he put one thing that was an entire stadium he had filled. It was his interview with Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, come on, you can't.
And then another one of my classmates has a podcast where he discusses finance that is apparently very popular. So lots of this is my Stanford GSB class. So
It's really telling though that like they are GSB grads. They could be going into venture capital. They could be hired by any company. You know, like they have the sort of the IT degree. It's harder to get into Stanford than Harvard. They want to be content creators.
Who doesn't want to be a content creator? I want to be a content creator. I mean, that's what I'm doing here, right? You know,
Our kids want to be content creators. Yeah.
Our kids want to be content creators. Everybody wants to be a content creator these days.
I've freed it. He's going to get, if he's a good big brother, he's going to get his video game controller.
But
when he was going through the Amazon catalog of gifts for kids, he kept calling every single game console a Nintendo Switch. And I'm like, buddy,
so he doesn't know what a Nintendo Switch is.
That's not a Nintendo Switch. That is, you know, like an Xbox. That is a PlayStation. That is, we need to educate our son. This is embarrassing. Yeah.
And all day I've been working on improving our fab. So we're going to have some major improvements soon, which I'm very excited about. But what I'm really, really excited about is this autonomous model feature I'm about to start working on building.
Yeah.
Because this is quite an undertaking. But I have a feeling I can get it done soon enough. It seems like all the individual parts of it seem practical. To create AIs that are persistently sort of alive. So you can have like an AI companion that when you're not there interacting with it, it's on Reddit, it's applying for jobs, it's doing whatever, and it has a distinct personality, and it can interact with your your computer, it can code things for you, it can blah blah blah, like a real wife or husband, you know, just to make sure that I curb stomp the fertility rate personally.
Yeah, no longer is she just an AI waifu. She's an AI waifu breadwinner, and you can be stay at home.
If you do a good enough job structuring her, yeah, and we're gonna
Stay
give
at
you guys a lot
home
of
dad
control.
to my stay at home AI children with my
To my
wife
stay at home AI children.
who goes out and works. Yeah.
But I'm so excited because I've thought through it, and I practically have. I've been working on all the parts and how they're gonna work.
No mic jostling.
Oh, this mic.
Really bothering people. So either you have to put it down on the desk in front of you somewhere.
I will hold it right here, okay? Or I need a mic mount, actually.
Yeah, you do, and you have multiple. So
No, none of them get the mic close enough to me. I need like a standing mic mount.
then now's the time.
I'll get one of those.
You're gonna have to do it, my friend. Sorry. Just opening a tab to do it.
Yeah. So I don't forget. So you guys will not get any more jostling. And you let me know if I've ever jostled in a piece so I can re-record it, okay?
Okay. Yeah, it happened a lot on the last one, so we got our work set out for us. But oh well. Anyway, I'm ready to go. I just needed to get this for Octavian because I promised him, and I promised Torsten.
Well, you do not have
a
the
blue one.
Article open. I was going to have you read it because you were.
Oh,
so
you said you wanted to select very specific parts of it, but I'm happy.
No, because when you started reading it, I was like, this whole thing is gold. When you said it was short anyway.
It is. Okay, so let me.
But yeah, this autonomous AI thing, I think I might be able to have the first version of it working maybe within like a month. So that's really exciting.
All right, so then I will introduce us because I'm reading, presumably. Okay. Like it?
Yes.
Oh, is it so great?
Are those Daddy's dirty peanuts?
they're pumpkin seeds. What is it? What is it? Show me. Oh my gosh, you know what this does?
Yes.
You can make a bracelet with this. Are you excited?
Let's open it up.
Okay.